Hello friends, it is Stasia and welcome back to my channel. Today we will be talking about my June wrap-up, and I actually think that I had a very good reading month. We'll get straight into that. I got some books off of everything. I feel like I got a lot of books off of my physical TBR, which is amazing. So we'll get into that in a second. First and foremost, let's go over all of the books that I accumulated in the month of June. First, we'll go into the books that I bought for myself, and then we'll go for the books that I received in one way or another. The first book that I bought is Variation by Rebecca Yarros. If you are unfamiliar, I love Rebecca Yarros. I've read her Fourth Wing series and The Last Letter. The Last Letter ended up being my favorite book of the year when I read it. I bought this because this is going to be the July pick for the Mending Hearts book club. For my birthday month, I chose this. And then if you also missed it, another book that we have for the Mending Hearts book club coming up is That First Night by Jen McCannon. So I bought the 2 quarter picks of the Mending Heart book club that I didn't own yet. The next book I bought, it's called Dance Away With Me by Susan Elizabeth Phillips. I'm not super sure what it's about. I really bought it like randomly, like I thrifted it, and I don't know, it just caught my attention. So I got it. So I don't know what to expect from this, but this is also a book that I own now. And then for book of the month, I only got one book, and that was The Ghostwriter by Julie Clark, which I'm very sad, honestly, that I got the book of the month version, because I've been seeing like the originally like normal published version, and it has like gorgeous sprayed edges. So that's sad, but that's okay. So that's the last book that I bought for myself. Then I also got 4 books from publishers. So first of which is Finders Keepers by Sarah Adler. I feel like it might be Second Chance. Like I feel like they have a pass, but I'm not completely sure. Then I got Unbroken by Maisie Yates. This is a part of the Silver Creek romance series. Obviously giving small town cowboy, and that's about all I can tell you. Then I got Overruled by Lana Ferguson. This is 2 divorce lawyers determined to share only beds and not hearts. Oh, okay. Love that, love that. The last one that I got this month is Save Me by Mona Caston. This is a Maxton Hall novel. I believe this is book 1, and as you can see here, it is a series on Prime. So I am hoping to hopefully read this and then watch the adaptation. So that's all of the books that I accumulated in the month of June. I feel like it was a decent amount. Not too much, not too little. And I do have plans for a few of them, so that's good. Before we get into all of the books that I read, let us go ahead and go over some stats. In the month of June, I ended up reading 9 books and I DNF'd 1. Sad. So the DNF is not counted in the page counts, but I did put it in the format and genre count, just so you know. So those books ended up being 3,388 pages read. My format breakdown is 4 ebook, 3 physical, 1 audio, and 2 multi-format. And my genres ended up being 4 thriller, 4 romance, 1 fantasy, and 1 contemporary. With that being said, let us go ahead and jump into all of the books that I read in the order that I read them. The first book that I read in the month of June was Battle of the Bookstores by Allie Brady. So I gave this book 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed my time with it. This follows Josie and Ryan. They are both booksellers, but they have very different bookstores, but they're relatively close. I believe there's only like a coffee shop supposedly between them, if I'm remembering correctly. So Ryan's bookstore focuses mainly on romance books, and Josie's bookstore focuses more on, they call it serious literature. Do what you will with that information. So they definitely have very different vibes. At the beginning of the book, there is like chatting. I don't know if you can see it right there. So there's like back and forth talking on an anonymous booksellers group, so they don't know who they're talking to, but they can chat and they share like all of this information, but it's 100% anonymous due to like not wanting to get backlash as a bookseller. So little do they know, Josie and Ryan are kind of besties on the anonymous site, but in person they immediately do not get along. The whole premise of this book is that the owner of, I believe, like this strip of like stores, the owner is trying to kind of downsize because the owner doesn't believe that there should be 2 bookstores in that close of proximity. Even if they're different, we as readers know they are different bookstores, but the owner of the building doesn't believe that there should be 2. So the owner puts out a competition between Ryan and Josie, and it's basically like whichever bookstore makes the most profit in like a month or something will be the bookstore that stands, and the owner of that bookstore will be the manager of it. So one of them has everything to lose. So with this, Ryan and Josie immediately not on the same side. They start going at it. And then one thing just leads to another where they are forced to kind of confront why they don't like each other. And then there is like a whole little fake dating scenario that sort of goes on. So that was this. Like I said, 4.5. I love the banter. I love the nod to book readers. There are references in here is like modern, but also some from like classics. So I may have missed the nod to like classic books because I've not read a whole bunch, but I did get the more modern books. I believe there's like a Fourth Wing possibly reference in here, and just stuff like that that I really enjoyed. I feel like everyone in here can find a part to love, especially as a book lover. I really enjoyed the online aspect of it too, like the anonymous chatting. Do I wish that the like reveal of that would have came sooner? I do, but I am still happy with how everything played out. So 4.5 stars to this one. The next book I read was Never Been Shipped by Alicia Thompson. I ended up giving this book 3 stars. This book is a band reunion book. We follow Micah and John. Micah and John were besties since they were younger, and then they ended up starting a band together, and that band kind of went through some stuff. They obviously picked up some other people along the way. Things started not working out, so the band split, and since then Micah and John haven't talked, but they were like besties. They were together all the time, like they were just always there. So the opportunity arises where the band can get back together to go on a cruise and just play a couple songs for like this fandom that kind of picked up on their song. So they end up doing that. They are in forced proximity with each other. They need to talk it out, and they kind of see what's going on. They're trying to see if maybe they missed some signs that things could have been there or anything like that. So I ended up giving this book 3 stars. It kind of just lost me. I feel like it was dragging a lot. Like obviously we knew that Micah and John were into each other, but I feel like it took so long for them to get to that point that by the time they got to that point, all they did was bang. And I was like, okay, well now I don't even care, because you guys are not even having the deep, emotional, important conversations that you guys should have had like 10 years ago. You guys are now just banging because you have both admitted to liking each other. So it wasn't my favorite. I did like some of these side characters, which were like the band members. Apparently her other book, what is it called? Love in the Time of Serial Killers. Maybe it's that one. I don't know if it's that one. But apparently one of her other books, oh no, I don't know which one it is. Maybe it's With Love from Cold World, I think, follows one of the other band members. So I do want to pick that up at some point. So 3 stars for this. Not my favorite, but it was okay. The next book that I read in the month of June was Enchantra by Kaylee Smith, fully tabbed, fully annotated. I gave this book 4.5 stars. I actually ate this book up. So I really, really loved Phantasma, and then I was chasing the thrill that that book gave me. So I was like, all right, it's time to pick up Enchantra. I need to do it. And then I picked it up, and it was a pretty slow start for me. For some reason, I just could not get into the beginning. That was the main reason why it wasn't a 5-star. But anyways, what is this book about? This book is about Genevieve. She has powers. So she has a certain kind of power that her sister doesn't have, and she has kind of been going and doing research and trying to find someone who she can kind of relate to, and she has come across a person that she thinks can help her understand who she really is and all of that fun stuff, which leads her to, I believe it's New Orleans. And while she's in New Orleans, she goes to this house that she thinks the person who can help her lives in. So she goes to this house, and by the stroke of her bad luck, this ends up being the one night a year where this family plays a deadly game. So this is a family of wraiths, I believe. So if they are killed, then they are not really dead. But Genevieve is more mortal. So if she were to die, she would be dead. So she ends up getting trapped in this house. And since she's trapped in this house, the only way she can get out is if she survives this game. Now, obviously, she has no skill that will go against this entire family who's been doing this game for ages. So her only lifeline is to team up with one of the 6 children named Rowan. But the thing is, the only way that they can team up is if they are like legally bound. So they need to get married. Will Genevieve go for it? We don't know. Is Rowan's intention pure? We don't know. So this basically follows the entirety of the game of that night. There are like different sorts of games that they all go through, and then obviously it doesn't end until one of these siblings die. So that's kind of the vibe with this book. Like I said, 4.5 stars, mainly because of the slow beginning for me. I don't know, I just wasn't getting into it at first, but once I got into it, I was not putting it down. I loved this book. The ending was so good. I really loved the emotional impact of the ending. I loved all the siblings, and I've recently heard that book 3 is coming out soon, so that's very, well, not soon, I believe by the end of the year or around the end of the year, so that's exciting. But yeah, so 4.5 stars. If you have any recommendations that you think I would enjoy in the realm of romantasy after loving Phantasma and Enchantra, please send them my way, because I have been searching for the high that I got off of this series, and I need it again, but I don't know where to find it. So if you have any recommendations, I am begging you to share them with me. For 4.5. Easy peasy. The next book that I read was The Last Session by Julia Bart. I ended up giving this book 3 stars. So this book is supposed to be like a culty sort of book. This woman shows up to a hospital, and she doesn't know who she is. She doesn't know where she came from. She doesn't know like how she got all of these injuries. And Thea, who is a social worker at the psychiatric unit, shows up and is kind of like, wow, this girl actually looks really familiar, but she can't quite pinpoint why she feels familiar. So all of that happens. The girl who shows up, her name is Catherine. Eventually Catherine gets picked up by people and leaves the psychiatric unit. Thea is very uncomfortable with this. She feels like something's wrong, but she can't quite pinpoint what it is about the entire situation. She thinks that Catherine has left her some clues on where she has gone to next, and now Thea decides to follow that and see if she can find Catherine and kind of see if she left her clues or what is actually going on. So I give this book 3 stars. So this book is said to be like culty, and I needed more of that culty. I feel like with this, I really had to like focus to even understand what was going on, because of how, I don't even know what the word, like it's just, I guess it's supposed to be like magical realism maybe, but there's a lot of like nod to like trauma and trying to like heal from that, and I guess like how people could potentially take advantage of you, but also how people could take things to the extreme. There's a lot of that in this book. I think I just wanted more and expected different. So that's the only reason why I didn't completely vibe with this book, but 3 stars, not that bad. The next book I read was Someone Knows by V. Keelan. I ended up giving this book 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed it. So this book follows Professor Davies. I don't actually know what her first name is. Let me see if I can find it really quick. Okay, so her name is Elizabeth. This follows Elizabeth. Elizabeth is an English teacher, and she's kind of just going through life. Nothing super exciting is happening, anything like that. In her summer course, basically they have like an assignment where they submit a few chapters every so often, and at the end of the semester, I guess they're supposed to have like a book or a short story or something like that. So Elizabeth is kind of minding her own business until she gets the submission from a student that is actually very familiar to her, and she is realizing that this student is writing about something that happened to someone she knows that was very traumatic and kind of shifted the entirety of her life. So she is now trying to figure out who is sending her these chapters, because no one should know about what happened that night, but this person does. So like I said, I gave it 4.5 stars. I really loved it. My jaw kind of dropped at the end. I wasn't expecting it, and I don't know if I wasn't expecting this reveal because it didn't make sense or because I wasn't paying attention. I don't know. But it was a very short read, very quick to read. I also liked the addition of the like chapters, like the changes when we're reading like the chapters of the book that is being sent to Elizabeth. So overall, I thought it was super engaging. I loved the book in a book aspect. I thought it was very fast to read, very engaging. I was hooked on it. I definitely always wanted to know what was going to happen next. Little sprinkles of romance, so you can definitely tell that V. Keelan is a romance author, but all in all, 4.5. I actually really love this one. The next book I read, I won't give you too much of my thoughts on because this is for my unwrap book challenge. If all goes well and I have my life together, this vlog should be up, but there's also a very real chance that the vlog is not up. So I don't know. It's gonna be a surprise to both of us. So that book is The Family Upstairs by Lisa Jewell. I will just say that I ended up giving this book 3.5 stars. Lisa Jewell is very much hit or miss for me. Sometimes I love her, sometimes I don't vibe with her, sometimes she's just okay. So this kind of just fell in the okay for me. So this book follows a family, and this is kind of like dual timeline, I feel like, because we're in the present and then we're also in the past leading up to what's going on. So this, mainly the start of this story follows a girl named Libby. She's been waiting for this forever. She just turned 25, so she got a letter on an inheritance that she has been waiting for. She doesn't know what it is, but she knows that it's something. So when she gets it, she is shocked by what it is and ends up going to kind of find more answers about this entire situation. Little does she know that there's also people out there waiting for her to turn 25 and knowing where she's going to end up and kind of trying to meet up with her, I guess. I don't know. So in this book, we're following multiple people and their perspectives on this journey now that Libby has turned 25 and what all is at stake. So that is all I will say. The next book I read is actually my DNF of the month, and that was The Paper Palace by Miranda Cowley Heller. Like I said, DNF, so no rating. I can't tell you too much about what this book is about because I don't even think I got 50% in. I think I got just shy of 150, a little under 150 pages in, and I decided that I didn't actually want to read it. I wasn't enjoying my time with it. I didn't care to pick it up, so I just needed to move on. So this was a DNF. Sadly, that is that. The next book I read was The Wrong Game by Candy Steiner. I gave this book 4.5 stars. I cannot remember our characters' names, and I'm just not gonna go and try to find it. I apologize. So this book is about a girl who has just gotten out of a very long-term relationship, and in the midst of that relationship, she bought like season-long football tickets. Like, she's a season pass holder, I guess. I don't know if that's the right terminology. But since she's no longer with the guy that she had intended to use them with, she is now on a mission to kind of just like do one date and like meet a guy, do the date, go to the football game, that's it. Like, she's just trying to get back into the dating scene after this past relationship has failed. While she is trying to figure out this, she's not very like into dating. It's been a while. She doesn't know how to get her feet back into the water. So she's at a bar talking to her friend about this entire situation, and the bartender kind of scoots in and he's like, hey, I can be your practice round. Like, there's no high stakes. I have overheard everything you said, so I know that you're not looking for anything serious. You kind of just want to go to this game and kind of maybe get a hookup out of it. But if not, maybe a friend, you know? So the bartender is like, yeah, I'll go with you to this first game. I'll be your practice round, and after me, you can hopefully be more comfortable with proceeding to the next games. So she's like, yeah, for sure. Like, we will do that. I think that this is a great idea. Obviously, after the first game, Mr. Man is like, actually, I don't want her to go to a football game with anyone else. But our girl, she sticks to her guns and she's like, no, you're not coming to the next game with me. So it kind of just goes in that loop where he's trying to win her over and she's trying to stick to her guns. Like, I don't want to be in a relationship, even though she knows that she already feels comfortable and trusts this guy, and she doesn't know what it is about him, but she's like, she loves him being around, but she's trying to stick to her guns and being like, hey, no, like, my rule was every game is a new guy. So that's kind of what we're going with. So it's a lot of push, pull, back, forth, will they, won't they? But I give this book 4.5 stars. I really, really loved the banter. The overall, like, pining was so fun. The dynamics was so fun. It was such a fast-paced book. I just loved the side characters. Our main girl's best friend is hilarious, and I just feel like it was overall like such a feel-good book. Obviously, our main characters both have some trauma, and they both have some stuff in their life that they have needed to get through. Obviously, our main girl has just gotten out of a pretty serious relationship, which leads her to all of this football stuff. So they're both trying to understand each other while also trying to guard their hearts. So I really loved it. I love them together. It was so fun, and I can't wait to read the next book, which I'm pretty sure follows her best friend. All right, we are in our last two books now. So the next book that I read in the month of June was Matchmaking for Psychopaths by Tasha Coriel. I ended up giving this book 3.5 stars. I think it was just a bit too quirky for me. I just didn't love it. So this book follows Lexi. Lexi's fiance breaks up with her and says that he is in love with her best friend. So they run off, and Lexi's like, all right, that's fine. I'll just win him back because I know him better, this, that, and the other. So while Lexi is trying to figure out how to get her fiance back, she's just pretending like her life hasn't changed. She's going to work as a matchmaker for psychopaths. That's like her, I guess, specialty. Her job has like a intro quiz to kind of put them with the matchmaker that fits them best. And our girl Lexi is the matchmaker for psychopaths. So if they pass this test, or if they go through this test and the test says they're a psychopath, they get led to Lexi, who will find them a match, hopefully. But the thing is, none of her clients actually know they're psychopaths. They just know that they got filtered into Lexi. So she's going about that job when a new client, Aiden, keeps telling Lexi that they're soulmates, and Lexi's like, no, I have a fiance, you don't know what you're talking about. And then another new client, Rebecca, is now the person that Lexi has deemed her new best friend. So those are kind of like the run-of-the-mill people. As Lexi is trying to get her life together, a human heart appears on her doorstep. She thinks that things are catching up to her. She has a past that she tries to keep hidden. She thinks that it could be her fiance, but she's not convinced. So she kind of just goes on with it and sees what happens. Things obviously escalate this, that, and the other. Like I said, 3.5. I think it was just a bit too quirky for me. There is definitely like a lot going on where I'm kind of just like, what is happening? Like, it's kind of wild. So if you enjoy that kind of book where it's kind of like, all right, I have no clue what is going on, but we're just going with it, I feel like you could enjoy this book. It was a fast read, but I just had no clue what was going on. It's also gorgeous. Love the red because it's so fitting for the book. So I don't know. I feel like this book was just not for me because I am not really the type of reader who does like genre mixing. And I think that this was a mix of like horror romance was kind of like the intent of it, with it being like that gore but also that romance, and there is a balance of that. Like, I do think it is balanced. I just feel like this book just wasn't for me. Nothing was necessarily bad with it, I just didn't love it, and that's just all I can say, honestly. And then the last book I read was actually the June pick for the Mending Hearts book club, and that was Burnout by Rebecca Genshak. This actually ended up being a reread. Yeah, because I'm just the worst at remembering what books I've read. So the first time around, I believe I gave this book 5 stars, but the second time around I actually gave it 4 stars. I did find the book to be a bit long, but I still enjoyed the usual things that I enjoyed the first time reading it. So this book follows Knox and Avery. Knox is a motocross racer, but he just got kicked off of his team because he's not really a team player. So he's kind of passing time in his hometown, hoping that he can get back on another team. And then our main girl, Avery, is an Olympic gymnast who is best friends with Knox's friend's girlfriend. Knox comes into town and he decides that he's going to try, I don't know what they're called. They do tricks. So it's not a race, it's like the tricks sort of motocross. So he decides that he's gonna try that with his friend while he's in town, just to kind of pass the time and, you know, stay on his dirt bike just to keep the passion going. But he is not landing things as easily as he thinks he should or would like to. So his best friend, whose name I cannot remember, tells him that he should train with Avery because Avery helped him with the landings and like kind of just being more aware of your body. So Avery and Knox start working together, doing like gymnastics and all this fun stuff, and they start with like this casual thing and one thing leads to another, this, that, and the other. You know how romance goes. So like I said, 4 stars. I loved the banter between them. They always gave it back to one another, which I really, really loved. I love the like slow falling but not really ready to admit it to the other person. I loved Knox and his family dynamic. He has like a group of brothers and they are just so wholesome, and I love that family dynamic for Knox. But yeah, so overall 4 stars and I enjoyed it. That is it. Those are all of the 9, 10 if you count the DNF books that I read in the month of June. I do feel like most of these were hits. I enjoyed most of my reading this month, which is always so fun. But that is all from me for today. So hopefully I will chat to you all soon. Let me know how your June went, or if any of these are on your TBR, or anything you would like to share. And I will see you all in my next video. Bye!